Thank you very much. Permit me to just go back a bit to say that in general, the GTI report for 2015, which again we must understand when they say the GTI for 2015, it means it covers the period 2014. That is January to December 2014. It's a variegated picture. You know, it talks about country-specific issues, and they talk regional issues like what is in the Sahel, what is in West Africa, what is in Middle East, and the rest. So specifically what concerns us, when you say Nigeria, we're in the Sahel region. Well, at least part of Nigeria is in the Sahel. Part of Nigeria in West Africa. Part of Nigeria is in Lake Chad-based region because of our size. So for us, all these regions, they converge, they overlap. One area is there. So what does we may ask first, what does the global trend index, what does it measure? Now this is an index that was developed since 2012. It started 2012. It's an Australian-based organization owned by an Australian philanthropist. So it has this toga of being seen as independent. It is not a government-owned, impact. What does it measure? Every year from that 2012, it takes 163 countries across the world. They try to, as much as possible, to cover about 97% of the world population. They take these 163 countries and they rate them according to about 4 criteria. What are these criteria? Finally, what they want to do is what is the impact of terrorism? Terrorism only. If you see that report, it doesn't talk about things that have to do with civil wars, things that have to do with police operations or accidents. All these are not related. They just zero in on terrorism. And the 4 aspects they look at are first, what is the number of terrorist incidents that have been recorded in the country from January to December of that year? That is one thing. Secondly, they take the number of deaths attributed to those terrorist attacks in that country for the year. Third, they take the number of people reported to have been injured by those terrorist attacks. And then finally, the property, losses or property damage that is accrued. Now, for Nigeria, like I said, it is not all bad news. But what captured people mostly is that we were 8 in 2004 report, which covered 2023, and now we are 6. So definitely when you look at that, you will say there's a regression. That means we have moved backwards. However, you have to go, like they say, the details, the devil is in the details. You have to go in the details. We have to look at these 4 criteria. That is as a way of informing government, as informing our armed forces, where should they put? Because if you don't understand what the person is majoring, you're only looking at the overall. It's like you finish a degree, if you don't get your transcript, you really don't know what you scored in each. Yes, how you fared. You may just say, okay, I have C+. So when we look at this report, you see in where Nigeria actually, in the 4 indices that I said, this report addressed 3 indices, and it is in 2 indices that Nigeria had a reversal. For example, in the deaths, which again, like I said, I've mentioned these 4 indices, but the one that carries the most weighted point is deaths. Naturally, because we are talking of human lives. That's what carried, then followed probably by number of attacks, then followed by injuries. In the deaths, in the previous report, we had 524 deaths. And then this year, we had 565. So when you do the simple mathematics there, you will see that we had an increase in number of deaths of 7.83%. That, more than any other thing, was what dragged Nigeria's ranking downwards. And unfortunately, again, for that period, we had some 2 very nasty attacks. Because when you say an attack, there's an attack that nobody will even be killed, or 1 person will be injured. Unfortunately, for that 2014, according to the report, we had some 2 very fatal attacks, like the one that happened on 1st September 2024 in Yobe State, where in that single attack in Mafa local government, in Mafa village in Tarboa local government area of Yobe State, close to 100 to 130 farmers were killed by Boko Haram. At that time, Boko Haram said that those people were supporting Nigerian army, so they attacked them. This singular attack is one of the most horrendous. In fact, it featured as number 7 out of the 28 deadliest attacks reported in the whole of the world. The next attack that happened, again, just like my brother said, is that on 10th of April of 2024 again. But this time around, it was a fight between ISWAP and Boko Haram, where about 80 of them, between themselves, they killed about 80 of them. So these 2 attacks was contributed to this our numbers of deaths. So this is a regression. The second area is injuries. In the previous report, we had 89 people reported as injured. Then this year, we had 177. Again, we have an increase of about, this one almost doubled as far as number of people that are injured. The report, again, moved to also incidents. In the previous report, now this is where we have something to smile at. And anybody living in Nigeria, just scanning the news, when last did you hear Boko Haram, attacked? It's becoming less and less. In the previous year, we had 144 attacks, but luckily for us, in this report, we had only 99. So we had a decrease of 31.72%. But like I told you, loss of lives is giving a more weighted average. So when you permutate distance, this is what made us to move from the 8th to the 6th position. The higher you are, it means the worse that terrorism has impacted on you. Now, having said that, this is why I said it is not all bad and gloom. If we are having less attack from Boko Haram, from the military perspective, we can say it's because their capacity to attack is less. And I call the figures where they attacked in Adamawa State. It's villagers that they went and attacked, not really. That's what we call normally soft targets. So there is good thing and there is bad thing. We said it because it's only when you know these things. If you just read, what normally I read is Nigeria has moved from sea. But you need to go to these details to actually understand where is it that we can improve, where is it that, and if even good for our security and even our policy makers. Now they know how this is. Because with due respect, in doing analysis on terrorism index, you cannot sweep away GTI report. Right now, it is the most credible report. But again, I come back to what Mr. Abambo said. Definitely, it's not as if the GTI, they have people planted all over, they don't have that resources. So what they do is they take reports, and they say it plainly. They take reports from, from what is available, from media reports, from security.
We will come to